Last year, we saw a lot of great RC car releases, and that prompted me to make the top 10 video that I recently posted, and those aren't easy to make. Picking out a top 10 of all the cars released for the year is no easy task. There's a lot of considerations, and even though I can only pick 10, there's still a lot of amazing cars out there that you need to see. So I thought I'd pick 5 of them to talk about cars that have really cool tech or really cool designs, or just ultimately offer a lot of fun. Let's get into the list. The first amazing RC car I want to show you is the Redcat Racing Ascent Fusion Crawler. It goes for about $399.99, and it's one of the best equipped crawlers you could find right now. When it first came out, it had a lot of people talking about why can't other manufacturers give us such a great quality rig at such a great price. And this thing has got some really good stuff in it, which I'm going to go over now. So number one, it has a carbon fiber chassis. If you're into performance parts, carbon fiber is the material to go with. So the chassis and actually the shock towers are all machined from carbon fiber. Then it has an underdrive transmission that can easily be switched. You can change up the ratios. This also is equipped with portal axles with all metal gears on the inside. Portal axles give you a little bit of extra ground clearance, and they help reduce torque twist. But what's also special about these axles is they give you an aluminum diff cover, and they give you brass weights up front, which is going to help this rig climb better. It has oil-filled aluminum shocks, metal suspension links, and the suspension geometry works well for whatever type of crawling that you're going to do, whether it's indoor, outdoor, just for fun, competition. And then the other cool factor with this is the electronics. They gave us a 2-in-1 FOC 1800 kV brushless motor to power it. It has a 32 kg Hexfly servo with metal gears. It's a digital servo, and then you get the Redcat radio system. So all you got to supply is a battery and charger, some AA's, and you're ready to just go out crawling with this. And because it comes set up like this out of the box, you're pretty much going to look like a pro once you hit the rocks and start crawling. This rig's got a huge following, and if you want more aftermarket parts for it, they're readily available. The next amazing RC car I have to show you is a 1/8 scale off-road buggy. It's the Losi 8XE ready to run, and it goes for $629.99. And the reason why I put it on the amazing list is it's one of the few buggies that have ever come out where you can immediately take it racing. Now, Losi has had some ready to runs in the past, but this one is really dialed in so it could bring anyone of any skill level onto the racetrack, and you can immediately either have fun or be competitive with it. And I took this racing, did pretty well with it, and they also have a truggy version too. But here are some of the cool features about this buggy. So first up, when you take it out of the box, it's already assembled. And some people are a little concerned about building a competition vehicle, and Losi has done a lot of the hard work for you. It's actually set up pretty well too. They've got the right oils in the shocks and in the differentials. The camber is set properly, as well as the rest of the suspension geometry. Now this RC also has a partially painted body. The white spots that you see here and some of the black and yellow, that's painted from the factory. And you get to pick up a can or cans of whatever your favorite color are and spray the rest of the body, giving you that little bit of a personalization to the buggy and make it stand out on the track. The shocks have threaded aluminum bodies, so you can adjust the preload. It has thick shock towers, has adjustable turnbuckles, heavy-duty suspension arms, cast steering knuckles, even has sway bars. It has a chassis layout much like the TLR racing version of the buggy, which the parts from that can go on this, and you could also use setup sheets from the pros to help you get this dialed in. And then the big deal here is the electronics package. So they give you the Spectrum DX3 radio, which has some adjustability to it, but then you look inside the buggy and you've got a Metal Gear high torque servo, which is kind of new. They gave us the S665 in this with a metal servo horn on it. They give you the 315 receiver, so if you do want to go and upgrade the radio system later on, you'll be able to bind a better Spectrum radio to this factory receiver. And then the Firma system that they give, pretty awesome. It's a sensored unit, which is what you're going to want for racing. So the only thing you need to provide for this buggy to get it going is batteries and a charger. You're going to want to pick up a 4S pack. But this buggy right out of the box handles really well. The only thing I think you're really gonna need to change, and that's the case with pretty much any RC out there, is the tires depending on your track. That's the one thing I found that I had to switch out pretty much immediately. But once I had a good set of tires on here, I was able to get this thing around the track really fast. I just think it's a really great release for anyone who's been thinking about getting into racing. If you like on-road cars or drifting, this is an amazing car to check out. It is the Traxxas Fortec Drift. And when this first came out, this had a lot of people talking because the drift scene is growing rapidly right now, and it's really cool to see. However, this isn't a conventional drift car that a lot of pros are using, and it was built to get people into drifting. And once people understood that, I think a lot of people appreciated what Traxxas did with this car. So a lot of it is kind of borrowed. It is the Fortec chassis, and a number of parts and some of the driveline has been carried over from that popular four-wheel drive on-road car, but this one is a rear-wheel drive with an inline motor setup. And the reason why I'm throwing it on the amazing list is because of the number of modes that they have to make it really easy for anyone to drift. So there are 3 different modes. If you have no skill, you could use the TSM drift mode, which makes it super easy to get this car sideways and control the drift really easily. And then if you've got more experience, you may want to go with the gyro setup, and it gives you a more natural feel, much more like what we're used to driving with RC drift cars. And this is all controlled through their Link app, which is pretty awesome. So you could adjust it on your cell phone using the app and adjust a bunch of different parameters. And I don't want to sound like it's overcomplicated. Trust me, it is super easy. That's why it's on the list. But this is a really good car if you want to get that drift feel and get into the world of drifting, and then maybe progress later on down the road with a higher end drift car. But if you're just out to have some fun with some friends or just in their driveway, this is really a drift car to check out. And they have a ton of option parts for it. It's available for $349.99. It gives you the radio system, which also has a brake button on it so you can lock up the rear wheels to initiate your drift. Really cool setup. Traxxas really did their homework on this one and made drifting fun for just about everyone with this car. Here's another amazing off-road rig to check out, the Vanquish Optic Trail Buggy. Now they have a ready-to-run version, and this is the kit. And one of the cool features of this kit is when you buy it, you don't know which livery you're getting. There's up to 6 different liveries that are possible inside the box, and it's a total mystery on what you're going to get. I just thought that the unknown was a really cool part of the marketing of this buggy. It kind of brought me back to when I was a kid, just collecting baseball cards and stuff. You never know what you're gonna get in the package. And I lucked out here. I got the iBox Springs kit, and this thing looks absolutely awesome with the red body panels. These are hard body panels, and the rig itself has a lot of great features. So number one, it's got the Hydro H10 axles in the front, and you can see it's got this Ram style steering setup. That just looks very cool, very scale. It has metal suspension links, it has aluminum shocks with threaded bodies, and then into the rest of the driveline actually, it has the VFD transmission, and it's an overdrive transmission, so it's gonna get those front wheels spinning a little bit more than the rear, which helps it climb. But what's really cool about this transmission setup is you could go and add on their optional dig with the purchase of those parts, and obviously a little bit of time on the workbench, but it's really easy to drop in. And what you could also do with this rig is if you want to go rear steer it, you could pick up an axle and with just a little bit of work have rear steer. And all the factory parts were designed with those options in mind. So this has a lot of customization that can be done to it, which I think is a really standout rig in the RC world. Now when I got this out of the box, I did a little bit of extra work to it. I painted the driver figure, painted some of the accessories. You also have to pick up your own wheels and tires. So of course I went with some really cool Vanquish options here. And with the kit, you also pick out your own electronics, which a lot of people like to do with an off-road rig. This one's priced at $389.99, and when you hit the trails with this buggy, the performance I think is gonna impress you. And this one is the last amazing RC car I wanna show you. Again, this is in no particular order. This is the Arrma Kraton V6 6S, which is capable of going over 65 miles an hour. And it does. I actually got this up to 67 miles an hour my very first try, and that was after I beat it up at the BMX track and the skate park. This is an awesome beast. Now it is a V6, which means they had other versions prior to this, but they really outdid themselves on the revisions this time, starting off with the 7075 chassis, which is an upgrade that a lot of people went to, so you didn't bend it on those big jumps. They also revised the steering knuckles on it, so the pivot balls don't pop out on hard hits. They've got black anodized shocks on this one with the EXB caps, really thick shock towers. They made some revisions to the body, number one being the color. It is a wild paint scheme that some people like and some people may not. But what's really cool is they went with a clipless system now. You just push on a button in the front and the rear and the body pops off. There's a couple other EXP components on this, and then they updated the electronics. So they gave us the 150 amp Spectrum speed controller, which is the V2 version. They threw cooling fans on the speed controller and the motor, and this is just a wild beast to drive. They also gave us a better servo. So right out of the box, this thing is just impressive the way it drives. I took it to a skate park and again, the BMX track. This thing flies high and it takes some hard hits. It's no wonder that a lot of people love bashing with this Chuggy. It's really controllable and it just delivers on the action. They priced it just right too, $599.99. I'm gonna have links for all this stuff in the video description below. There you have it, 5 amazing RC cars. If you're hung up on trying to figure out what's the next addition to your RC collection, you might want to check out one of these.